Hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are again with another interview. And I'm doing this because I really love my Bach Flower Remedies, but I really want to connect these Bach Flower Remedies with other disciplines, other experts, and other, opinions so that more and more people will hear about it and actually know when and how to use them. Today, I have something really interesting, and I'm sure that a lot of you can relate to this. I'm talking today with Coach Bill. Coach Bill is a certified generational trauma and motivational mindset coach who helps adults with toxic or difficult parents break free from emotional pain and reclaim their lives. After surviving years of emotional and physical abuse from his stepmother and feeling unheard by his father, Bill turned his pain into purpose. Through his coaching, online course, and speaking engagements, Bill guides others on their own healing journeys. He specializes in helping people set boundaries, heal from generational trauma, and build the confidence to live life on their own terms. Bill's down to earth style and real life experience make him very relatable and easy to connect with. Whether he's speaking on a podcast, leading a workshop, or working with clients one on one, his mission is very simple: to help people feel seen, heard, and empowered. He is based in Ontario, Canada, and he is very passionate about creating safe spaces for growth and transformation, especially for those who were never given one growing up. With no further ado, I present to you Coach Bill. Hello, welcome, Coach Bill. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. How are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
It's totally my pleasure. I'm very, very happy to have you here. I think you are Um, people are going to relate to you so much because there's a lot of people with toxic parents. And so I think this is going to be really nice for people to listen to you and to have a little bit more help to what they can do with their own situation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, looking forward to this.
Cool. So just to begin, can you maybe share a little bit about your own journey? How did you come to work with people who've had toxic parents?
Yeah, so if I go way back to when I was 2 years old, so I never knew my parents together, my biological mother and my father. I never remember them being together because they separated, got divorced when I was 2 years old. So then fast forward a little bit to I was about six is when my dad met my stepmother. And then that's when some of the not some of the that's when all of the emotional and physical abuse started shortly after that from my stepmother. And then I never really felt emotionally heard from my father. Don't even know if he knew what was going on or if he would have any thoughts to even stop it. So I just felt silenced, and abuse from anybody. The person has that much control over you that they beat you down physically, emotionally. For me, I feel like the emotion was even worse. The emotional side of things was even worse. So you just get really quiet and feel silenced. So um, it wasn't until I finally had enough of it years and years later that I decided to start to heal. And now that's how I help others.
I think that's really, really very beautiful that you managed to turn something so terrifying into something that helps others. It's very courageous and it's very beautiful.
Well, thank you. And it definitely didn't happen overnight. We may get into this further along in the show here, but I didn't even start to heal until I got later in life into my 30s and my 40s. The way I dealt with it in my teens, my stepmother couldn't physically hurt me anymore, right? But there's still that psychological
Mhm.
stuff. So you know, one outlet I had was hockey growing up. So I got to at least escape that mentally a little bit, and it was good for me physically. Um, and then into my teens, early 20s, I started getting into, kind of masking it with drinking. I wouldn't say I became an alcoholic officially, but just kind of dealt with things in not a very positive way, right? Which is not good for any of us. So.
I just want to jump in right there very, very shortly for those who already know a little bit about the Bach Flower Remedies. But when you say you're masking it and you're into an alcohol addiction, there's a interesting flower remedy for that, which is called agrimony, which is the flower that actually suppresses emotions. And it very
Okay.
often coincides with addictions to actually deal with the unexpressed emotions. Could you relate to that, feeling maybe that you're repressing your emotions on some level?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You just kind of bury it under the carpet, right? Or you put it on the back burner, whatever analogy you'd like to use on that, right? Because you just want to, and because I was silenced so much as a child, I didn't know how to deal with that positively. And really wish I knew about that Bach flower remedy
Yeah.
back then. That could have been very helpful for sure. So I think a lot of us do that too. We just try to keep muddling through life and but we're not free from it. Like we don't heal ourselves. And until you decide to heal yourself, you're going to carry that
Yeah.
through, you know, the rest of your life, through relationships, having problems with work. I went through multiple jobs because I was never happy at my work, at my job, you know. So just thinking, oh, I just haven't found what I like yet. But no, part of it was my childhood trauma.
Hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how that can influence every part of our life somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are for you some of the most common emotional wounds or patterns you see in people raised with toxic parents?
I'd say one of the big ones is chronic self-doubt, so you're always doubting yourself. It affects your confidence. You question yourself a lot because you didn't have a voice, or you may still not have a voice with your parent, even as an adult. Um, Also, I think me personally, I became a people pleaser where I
Hmm.
just could not say no, could not stand up for myself. I had problems, and a lot of my clients have problems setting boundaries,
Yeah.
um, or setting a healthy boundary. They think they might be setting a boundary, but it's not healthy. Or uh, to be able to set a boundary, we'll get into this later, I think, but to be able to set a boundary without guilt, like without feeling
Oh,
guilty,
yeah.
because they're still your parent and they know how to hold that guilt over you. I've had a lot of my clients say, "How do I actually set a boundary with my mother or my father or whatever?" Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are just some of the key emotions I've personally dealt with, and some of my clients have as well.
Yeah, again, in terms of Bach Flower Remedies, I had to smile when you said chronic self-doubt because I've never heard that, and I've never heard chronic self-doubt, but I think this is
Yeah,
so also relatable for me because you're, you have that kind of loyalty and you're, like you say, you're always doubting yourself. It's actually my next question. People often ask, was it really toxic or am I exaggerating?
yeah,
So it's like your framework is so messed up that you're not even sure if it's and if it's your parents and they love you and.
yeah. Like you you really struggle with the self-doubt because maybe that's the hold they have over you, right? Or you may say
Yeah.
something, you may try to stand up and say something, and then you just feel like, oh, that was maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? Or should I say that? So one piece of advice I would say in that situation is just to really trust your intuition.
Hmm.
That gut feeling when something just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That's huge. Even to this day, when I'm just trying to make a decision, you know, we think with our brain. If it's an emotional decision, it might be your heart. But my gut always wins. I always listen to
Yeah.
my gut. 9 times out of 10, my gut is right. So I would say to those in this similar situation, just to try to really trust your intuition.
It's true because you're often talking yourself and rationalizing, talking yourself out of it. But we have a situation kind of close by us, the same, where it's actually my better half who's a little bit in problems there. It's a family very close to him. And I always say to him,
Yep.
if it feels wrong for you, then it's wrong, you know, and you have the freedom to express it, and then the other person knows that. And then if they're still kind of, you know, trying to make you do certain things or just putting some kind of pressure on you, I always say then you
Yeah,
can just tell them, like, despite of me telling you that I feel bad, you're still doing that, you know, and that kind of
exactly.
puts them a little bit in the spot. And for those who
Exactly.
are interested in Bach flowers, I think this is really, I mean, there's so many, I don't even know where to begin. Larch for self-confidence would be a very good Bach
Okay.
flower. Centauri would be a good flower for healthy boundaries, being more assertive, saying no, putting yourself first. And the
Hmm.
guilt, when you set boundaries, that would be pine. That would be a really good Bach flower remedy that would help with the guilt. And Serato, it's the Bach flower for the intuition. So to really trust that gut again and to really come back to yourself, come back home to yourself and seeing
Wow,
that.
there's a Bach flower for intuition as well. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That's why I really wanted to have this conversation because I think so many people are relating to your story. And I mean, gosh, if I wouldn't have had these bug flowers, my journey would have been so much more difficult. And it's unbelievable how much can be done with these flower remedies and how much of these stories that or the feelings that you are talking about that I just recognize and I can just pick the flowers like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of interesting how yeah, how amazing the story fits with the bug flowers, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of similarities here that could really work together for people. Huh?
Mhm. Now, what are some signs that someone is still subconsciously living in survival mode because of their upbringing? Because we sometimes, like you say, you're out of the situation, but
Yeah.
there's just still some kind of maybe habits, like you say, the jobs you were doing. What are the signs that you
Yeah.
think you can see?
Yeah. Well, for me, I speak to a lot of my own experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for others, I would say like always on edge. You're always feeling like you're always on edge, that you just can't relax. That's one. Overthinking everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, poster boy for overthinking everything. Even to this day, even though I'm much better. You might struggle to trust others because you didn't have that trust, or you may still not have that trust currently with your family members, your parents in the situation. Once again, I mentioned people pleasing earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a big one. Just not being able to say no, uh, not knowing that setting a boundary is okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that boundary is not for the other person. That boundary is actually for you. Yeah, so those are some of the ones that I can think of.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's true that you kind of see the normal how a normal healthy relationship functions for others. Like, oh
Yeah,
my God, I recognize it so much as well. Like you see that how it's for others, but you just can't, you know, you just can't accept, for instance, saying no. Like if someone else, you would
yeah,
ask someone something and they would say no, you wouldn't make any fuss about it, but you just can't do that for
yeah,
yourself. It's unbelievable. Like
yeah,
you see
exactly.
it, you rationally know it, but you just can't do it.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah. It
overthinking.
comes. I don't know if it's valid here, but it's almost like it's always easier to help others.
Oh
I
yeah,
find, and a lot of us, than to accept help,
yeah,
or for self care. Right? We
yeah.
beat ourselves up so much, right?
Mhm.
So it's like that's tough.
It is tough, yeah. And the overthinking, there's also a really great bach flower for that, which is white. No, sorry, yeah, chestnut. Wanted to say
White
sweet
chestnut.
chestnut, white chestnut, which is really
Is there
great
a sweet
for.
as well?
There is a
Is there
sweet
a
one,
sweet
yeah.
chestnut as well?
This is when
Okay.
you really, we call it when you're really in the dark night of the soul. This is like
Yeah.
not a nice place to be. But
Yeah.
white chestnut is really for the overthinking, you know, like when you maybe are in a situation that you said something to your parents, they've already forgotten about it, but you're still in bed, like, oh, I shouldn't
You're
have said
still.
that, or maybe, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-tormenting thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
If I can ask, if I okay, so the overthinking one, I think this could be really good, and I can suggest a few people to you. Um, when you're trying to relax, lay down, go to sleep, right? I've always personally struggled with sleeping, and 9 times out of 10 for me, it's my mind just doesn't shut off, right? Whether that's just planning my day or my week for work.
mm-hmm.
Um, maybe I am thinking about something else outside of that. So is there a Bach flower that you could suggest that would be good and beneficial for, and I'm sorry if you just mentioned it, but the overthinking and for sleeping
Yeah,
specifically?
I think agrimony is a good one because it's really when you're kind of you're repressing your worries, and that's why you drink and you go out and you kind of distract
Yeah.
yourself. But then when you are alone, you're feeling really, really low, and then that pairs really good with the white chestnut, which is the remedy for yeah, for overthinking, trying to solve the situation in your head, going over
Mhm.
situations again and again and again, and
Mhm.
what can also be really helpful is alum, because you're probably overwhelmed when you feel overwhelmed by maybe, because of the lack of boundary setting. A lot of
Yeah.
these people, I think, at least when I have some of them in my practice, they do feel overwhelmed by they feel really responsible from a young age. They had no boundaries, so they feel very overwhelmed, which can
Mhm.
also lead to sleeping problems because you're just on the whole time. So yeah,
Yeah.
alum, that would also be a really good one in this situation, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I could see a connection there for both of us. If getting somebody to be a little bit more calmed down from the Bach flowers,
Hmm.
and then with my strategies of how to approach your parent, how to set a boundary, that could be
Yeah.
a really good combination. So I'd like to
Hmm.
think about that for the future for my clients for sure.
And absolutely, because it's true that Bach Flower Remedies, they do help, they help you seeing things more clear. Like, okay, I can trust my intuition. They help you stopping a little bit overthinking, expressing
Yeah.
your emotions. But if you express your emotions to a toxic parent, especially if this parent is, for instance, narcissistic, you know that this won't really necessarily lead to a good outcome. But repressing your emotions is absolutely not going to help at all. This is destroying yourself.
Exactly.
So I think
Exactly.
it's good that people would take Bach flower remedies, but it's true that the Bach flower remedies cannot do it for you. Whatever decision needs to be taken, whether it is moving out of the house, whether it is having less contact with the parent, maybe not discussing anything anymore, not like when you have narcissistic parents, people like to discuss and they get blamed and there's lies and they're like, hey, but that's not true, and then the narcissist kind of uses that to their advantage.
Yeah.
So yeah,
100%.
there is Bach flower remedies absolutely do help intensely, but you still have to step through the door. You still have to do something with the knowledge you've gained or the stability in your feelings that you've and that is often the problem, that people don't have the tools to actually, either they don't understand the situation fully, or they don't really have the tools to do something with their with their information they've gained, the clarity that they've gained. So
Yeah,
I would,
I never had the tools as I was younger. I had no idea how to approach my father to have a conversation, right? So that's why I'm helping others do that now.
yeah, I wanted to ask, when people feel all these things, guilt and anger, maybe loneliness, lack of self-confidence, how do you help them move through all that?
Yeah, well, guilt, anger, low self trust are very very common. Um, I cover this in. We may talk about this later on in module 3 in my course, and it's primarily about self care,
Hmm.
right? And still, until we mentioned this a little bit earlier, until you start taking care of yourself and getting the tools to be able to do that, to self regulate yourself, to be in a more calm state, then it's going to be extremely difficult, right? So you can rebuild self trust, your confidence that way. This is kind of the Cole's Notes version of parts of my module, but yeah, so I think it's just starting with small acts of self help and kindness to yourself. Like, too many selves in there, but just giving yourself that grace. Sometimes in my coaching sessions, it may not seem like I'm even saying that much because I'm just giving people the space, first of all, to talk. And then I may make a couple of points. Just give yourself some grace. Like, you've been through a lot,
Hmm.
and that's tough, right? So to get back to your question, a lot of it starts with self-care. That's where the healing starts.
Mhm. It's also interesting. I was thinking about sometimes I see something passing by from a post of you on Facebook, and there's always just like one sentence, something like, taking care of your parents' needs is not your responsibility, or something like that. I don't know if it was exactly that. And
Yeah,
I found it so, I think the help is already there for me also in being so relatable. Like the fact that
yeah,
someone goes through exactly that and he knows exactly what it is and what has helped you, and that you share that with others, that's just, I mean, that's just such a blessing, really.
oh, well, thank you for saying that, and lived it, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
if
but
there's
that makes
anything
you
I
good
can do
at
to
it.
help others, that's yeah,
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of good coaches and therapists and things like that. I just think it's different when you have actually lived it. I see that for
yeah,
me, for instance, with my Bach Flower Remedies, I can study them and I can understand what they do. But I
yeah,
think that I could say that I'm that good at them because I have needed them myself. I've used them
yeah,
myself. So I know what kind of state can a person be in to need it, and what
yeah,
what is a change that will that will come from that. And I think that's your big strength. You do actually really get it.
absolutely,
um
yeah.
what do you wish more people would understand about healing from toxic family dynamics?
I would say healing's not about blame, you know. Um,
Mhm.
it's about breaking the cycle. So I'm a generational trauma coach, which basically means trying to break the cycle. So for my dad, for example, he never talked about his feelings with his parents. It was just never talked about, right? And maybe in well, actually, I do know in my stepmother's case, she was she was abused by her grandmother,
Mhm.
right? So if we don't break that cycle, it's just going to carry on. And I was really for a good few years, I didn't want children because I didn't want to worry about, oh my god, am I going to pass that on to my kids, because that's the only way thing I knew. So I think I was very determined to break the cycle, right? Was I a perfect father, perfect parent? Absolutely not. I never hit my kids. I never needed to. Did I get angry with my kids? Of course, when they were bad or whatever. But they just knew by me talking sternly to them at times when they were really bad that, oh, that's, we're in trouble, right? Um, I'm hopeful that generationally that is changing, I think, for the better, but there's still a lot of kids and young people that go through similar things that I went through.
Mhm.
So
I think also in terms of Bach Flower Remedies, what could be very helpful there is something like Star of Bethlehem, which is really the Bach flower for shock and trauma. So if you want to kind of release that trauma that is stuck, this is a really good remedy. But also let's say, breaking the circle, walnut is a really good remedy because it's really the walnut, the walnut. It's really the remedy for change. So when you are, let's say, taking care of changing a behavior, or you're in a situation of change, walnut is a remedy that can really enhance that change. So that could also be very, very useful.
okay. Excellent.
Can you share a turning point story, either from your own life or someone you've helped or someone you were maybe inspired by, and where something really shifted?
Sure. I'm going to be a little selfish and just to try to give a good example of my situation. So when I said in my 20s, so I was like a little choked up about it, just a frog in my throat, excuse me. Yeah, so teens, 20s, I masked it like we talked about, drinking a little bit. Then I got into my late 20s, early 30s, and then that's when I had my children. So then my children, came along and then they were meeting grandma and grandpa, right? I never let them stay over because I
Mhm.
didn't trust my stepmother.
Mhm.
But so then I still, okay, I'm going to do, no, I never dealt with it, right? Until my kids got a little bit on. Until I got into my 40s, I started having some flashbacks. of a lot of stuff. And then that's when I finally chose to, I think in my 30s, I was starting to get ready to focus in on healing. And to
Mhm.
this day, I still don't have a perfect relationship with my father. My stepmother has passed on, but so I still have a relationship with my father, but it's more on my terms now,
Mhm.
right? So I guess the breaking point was like finally like enough's enough. Like you're having flashbacks now. You have to deal with this, right? So I only wish I dealt with it in my early years, but I guess I just wasn't ready to do so.
Everything has its moment.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's one simple but powerful step someone could take today if they're feeling overwhelmed by their family dynamics?
Great question. I love this question. And I'm going to refer to my favorite module in my course, setting boundaries. So the first thing I would suggest is to set a boundary.
Hmm.
It's about it's about drawing that land in the sand, sorry, that line in the sand, per se, where you can only cross this line if you're respecting me and it's on my terms.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have to be a huge, massive boundary because we don't know how that the toxic narcissist person is going to react to that either. But once again, the boundary is not for them. The boundary is for you.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of strategies and a lot of advice for how to go about that process,
Hmm.
either in my course or my one-on-one coaching. So, but that's where I personally started too, and it was really cool to be able to set that boundary and then almost get a little bit respect back, right?
Yeah, just even if it's a small boundary. I have some kind of interesting example. I'm a little bit reluctant to share it because I don't really like to talk that much about my private life, but I had a really narcissistic person coming in my home and
Mm-hmm.
disrespecting me in my own place. And I didn't want that relationship to be bad because it was the mom of my loved one, and I really,
Okay.
really wanted to just keep that relationship so good. And I was allowing her always to go over my boundaries, but extreme. I'm talking about really a narcissistic person. So it was very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get in how these boundaries were violated, but I mean, it was very extreme. And I remember at some point, I had a meeting online,
Yeah.
and she really wanted to go upstairs to show this house to someone. And I was like, I live here, I have my private stuff upstairs. Maybe I didn't clean, or I don't know, but
Yeah.
my paperwork is
Yeah.
there. And she
Yeah.
asked me if she could show it, and I was like, no. And so when I had my
Wow.
meeting, she went upstairs while I was in a room downstairs, and I could
So she
clearly
did it
hear.
anyway. Oh my
And
gosh.
I got so upset that I almost started crying in my meeting. When my meeting was over, I sent a really like a message like, hey, this is something that I am like, I'm very sorry that I tell you this, but already apologizing. But this
Yeah.
is some behavior that I really can't appreciate, and I wish that you wouldn't do that anymore. And the reaction what I get online was what I get by SMS was something like, yeah, but I had to go online because I had to measure some windows or some nonsense, whatever. You just know that it's not.
Yeah. Just not even respecting your bound.
It's all, and I was like, I'm not going through your stuff. And I just answered something like, it's not about going through my stuff, it's about respecting my privacy. And then I
Exactly.
ended with, this will never happen again. And I
Yeah.
didn't know what the consequences were of my message. And it sounds so
Yeah.
ridiculous now afterwards. I'm like, well, how ridiculous. I live here. This is my place. But that
Yeah.
was such a
Good
big
point.
deal. But when I sent that SMS, I felt so good.
Yeah.
After 2 or 3 years living like that, I felt so good.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how good I felt. And the behavior actually stopped. That was all I needed
There
to
you
do.
go.
All I
Yeah.
needed to do, the boundary. It's unbelievable. So Coach Bill will
Yeah.
help you with these boundaries. I would say go for it because the boundaries are the shit, really.
Hey, I just want to acknowledge that they're not easy, and that
Yeah.
was, very, very brave of you to do that for yourself. And seem to have worked out for you. So it's awesome.
Strangely, it is like the resistance that to keep that relationship sane while it was an insane relationship that was hurting
Yeah.
everybody. But the resistance was so big that I just couldn't do it. But when I did it, it was so easy. And when I look back at it, it was like, what was I waiting for? You know?
Yeah. Well,
But you
yeah. Well, like
can't.
we get ourselves in scenarios before we actually do it, and
Yeah.
sometimes the hardest thing is like worrying or thinking what is the outcome going to be. But
Yeah.
when you don't know if you remember if you're old enough to remember the old Nike commercial, just do it.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
we have
Just
to
do
just do
it.
it, and then when
Yeah.
you do it, it's like, oh,
Yeah. I
that
mean, it was
worked, or that
amazing.
was pretty that was easier than I thought, right? Sorry, go
Yeah, it
talk on you.
actually was easier than I thought. And also the thought, even if this relationship goes to smithereens after that, it's still to my advantage somehow, you know?
Yeah,
So
because you're
yeah.
protecting yourself. You're not gonna tolerate it, right?
Oh, exactly. And it's never happened again. So boundaries, people,
Good.
boundaries. Can you tell us a little bit more about your course? Like what is the heart behind it and who's it really for?
Yeah, yeah. This course is for anybody who's dealt with a toxic or emotionally unstable narcissist parent. Um, it's designed to help them break free, to heal, to be able to set boundaries without guilt, um, and fix that huge thing, self-doubt, and just help rebuild your confidence. And the last part of the course, I even touch on triggers, emotions, and triggers that will happen. Because to this day, I still get triggers. We all do,
Hmm.
right? So, and it's just really exciting to be able to put something like this together because it just covers a lot of the things. So the course is, if I can just explain it a little bit, it's a 4 module course with 4 lessons in each module.
Hmm.
Each lesson comes with a short video just on that topic on that particular lesson. You also get a downloadable and printable worksheet that has exercises, techniques to go along with each lesson.
Hmm.
You get this course is yours. You can go, it's self-paced, so you can go at your own pace. You can come back. It doesn't expire. You can come back and refer back to it. So let's say you're going through module 2 and setting boundaries. Okay, I got this strategy. I'm gonna go talk to my mother now. And say something doesn't work. You can refer back to it and
Hmm.
say, okay, yeah, I said that part, I did good there, but I have to,
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah, you
carry
can really
on this
it's
part.
very can really use it practically. It's very practical to use.
Very practical, very practical. Yeah.
Cool, that's good. That's what people need, I think. If only I knew it before, could have freed myself so long ago.
Yeah,
Gosh.
exactly. Same here.
If someone watching feels broken or like it's too late to heal, what would you want them to hear from you today?
I kind of mentioned this earlier, and maybe I
Hmm.
should have left it till now. I didn't know you were going to ask me that question. Um,
No,
so
that's
for
right.
me, I did not start to heal until I was into my early 40s. I am now, full disclosure, in my early 50s, 50 something. Um, so it is never too late. I hope I have another 40 or 50 years left on this earth, but even if I only have 5 years, it is so
Worth
nice
it, yeah.
to be free from all that shit. Hope I can swear on your channel. So it's just never too late to start living well. It's never too late to heal. And it'll truly, truly, whether it's my course, coaching, somebody else helps you. It's truly about you and living your best life. So one little analogy in Europe there, I'm not sure if you guys have KFC,
Hmm.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. But just on a business part, the owner or the person who created Kentucky Fried Chicken did not start until he was 65 years old. I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
saying wait till you're 65, but it's just never too late.
It is
And
encouraging to hear that. And
yeah,
like you
just
say it so nicely. Like it's even if you just have 20 days left to live, it's better to have 20 days on freedom
right?
20 days under toxic parenting or anything like that, or toxic family members. Because,
Yeah,
when we're thinking about parenting, we're often thinking that you're still living with them in the house. But no, I mean, so many people have already moved long out of the house and they're still
yeah,
they're still under the thumb of that. Yeah, like you say, the physical thing is kind of better because you're not there anymore. But the emotional wounds and and the gaslighting and the lying
yeah.
and the blaming and the damage that does, it just, and even if you're not in contact with them anymore, even if they are deceased, there is still some kind of residue left that you have to deal with somehow.
Absolutely. That doesn't leave you just because somebody, your abuser or the person has passed on, right? If
Yeah.
you don't deal with that and have it do it, you're going to carry that with you. And we've already discussed how that affects your day to day, your relationships,
Hmm.
changing jobs all the time, whatever. So it's huge. It's absolutely, absolutely huge.
Do you find people struggle to let go of loyalty to their parents, because it's
100,
their parents?
great question. 100%, right? Because from a small, as a child, you look up to mommy and daddy, right? They're right. They're supposed to be your positive role models, but they can also be your negative role models. And it's just that. And then when a parent ages, they may now be older and frail. And if you have never confronted them or really dealt with it, then how do you do that?
Yeah.
Right? You almost have that guilty feeling where you're like, oh, it's my father. I really can't have that conversation now. Right.
Yeah,
But
it's difficult.
ultimately, what I say to that, and I try not to be too aggressive with it, is just like they were the ones that didn't listen to you, right? Regardless of
Yeah,
age.
all these years you
So
didn't
if
one time take the opportunity to say something, without feeling.
yeah, you know, and you know what though, it's without judgment. I say that because I also had a client recently who just this situation actually she just could not confront her mother, but we worked on boundaries. We worked on she even had to go no contact for a while
Hmm. Hmm.
where she tried setting some boundaries and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So she had to go no contact with her mother, right? And it was so peaceful for her. Like she couldn't believe how peaceful it was, right? So even if you're at that stage where you just it just won't happen, or that person, the toxic person is such a narcissist that this doesn't matter what you say or
Hmm.
do, they won't get it. But that doesn't mean you can't heal, you can't protect yourself, and you
Yeah.
can't have um like I have with my father, I have a relationship with more on my terms now, which what
Hmm.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna it's an old rock song. We're not gonna take it.
Yeah.
So
I think you make a good point also when you say that, sometimes I think our expectations are maybe a little bit off. We think that when we kind of have boundaries and we express ourselves, and the relationship will be beautiful forever and they will respect it. But I think very often that's just not the case. And
I
I think this is something really important where people probably do need a lot of help when, like I said, you can only trust your intuition. You say what it means to you, the behavior of the other person,
yeah,
but if they still violate it, then they speak your language. Maybe you repeat it a few times. If they then still violate your boundaries, then and then there's a self-doubt that comes in. But then we can safely conclude that they just don't care. And then it's the question,
exactly.
what do you do with that?
Yeah, exactly. Are
That's
you going to
that's
continue
difficult.
to be their punching bag, or are
Yeah.
you going to say nope, not happening anymore?
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
you make a decision. Then what you need to do, right?
I was also thinking the step just before the loyalty is also interesting. It's the awareness, I think, because I've had a situation with my father when I grew up, or with my family, my siblings as well. And
Yeah,
everybody told me that I was being manipulated by them and that they were using me, and I just couldn't see it at all, because I was very young when all of this happened, and my mom died, and I felt responsible, and they were all suffering, and they were all one was more miserable than the other, and I was kind of keeping everything together, so I felt very responsible. And then I was
Mhm.
kind of thinking that before I had a lot of effect with Bach Flower Remedies, my therapist at that point gave me another flower essence, which is actually a mushroom essence. It's the same
Mhm.
principle as Bach Flower Remedies, but from another brand, and it was called Inky Cap. So it was a little mushroom, and that was
Oh,
actually a mushroom that helped me see all these like under the table manipulations. And
oh, is
that
that right?
was,
Eh? That's
oh yeah,
interesting.
because I didn't see it. I didn't. Like it was again, it's as ridiculous as the story with my mother-in-law. It was so close. It was so in my face, and I couldn't see
Yeah,
it afterwards. I was like, what was I doing? How
yeah,
oblivious could I have been? But
yeah,
just to tell people, like, you don't have to do this alone. You know, you have people like you, Coach Bill. You have Bach Flower Remedies and all certain, different kind of remedies, and just don't wait until you're old. I mean, even if you're old, it's never too late, but you
yeah.
don't have to do this alone. You can really break free from this, truly, truly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's you just said exactly what I was going to say is you don't have to do this alone. One thing I did not mention was I have a great relationship with my mom, and we don't need to go into all this right now, but I only got to see my mom once every third weekend growing up as a kid. Um, but I have an amazing relationship with her, but not everybody has that,
Hmm.
right? Both your parents may be toxic, one may be past, whatever the situation. So I am here and we are here, it sounds like, for just to let people know you're not alone.
Hmm.
So you already touched that, but I just wanted to echo that. That's it's huge, right? Because it can lead to so many other things. You feeling alone, heavy
Yeah.
depression, and God forbid, you could get
Yeah,
even
just
worse. So
not knowing that there's things that can be done, that you don't have to accept this and roll over and just fade away, that there's really actually small and not even life-changing things. Some people it's too much, the no contact rule, but setting small
yeah,
boundaries, small behavioral shifts, for instance, very stupid example, but my mother-in-law, because I used to refurnish or relook furnitures, and she sometimes brought me furnitures, but I knew that it was to to get something done from me, or to smoothen the
yeah,
relationship. So, and I'm a very
yeah,
thankful person. I say thank you all the time, I say sorry all the time, but I learned
yeah,
not to thank anymore because I didn't ask for it, and I certainly didn't ask for the behavior that comes afterwards. And so,
yeah.
because I
Good for
don't
you.
thank anymore, and because I don't really pay attention to it anymore, she doesn't give me
Yeah,
this anymore. And I don't have to feel sorry for it, or I don't, there's not that kind of attachment. I did something for you, so now you have to
yeah.
allow, and
Oh
that
my
was
God,
a
that's
very
such a
small
that
thing.
is yeah, no, that's a big thing. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for I know we're wrapping up here soon, but thank you so much for mentioning that because that's what a lot of people do, right? They
Yeah, and it
gift
was
you and
difficult
then
for me because I'm a very
yeah,
grateful person. And I was like,
yeah, they gift you to make you feel guilty to then be at their beck and call or to not stand up to them. So that's
yeah.
that's a great point. That's a huge point.
So it was very difficult to not do that, but it's also something really small that anybody can do in a way.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, let's say someone takes your course. What kind of transformation do you think is truly possible?
I think it's just being able to be yourself again, to heal from all this crap you've gone through, and just to come out on the other side with some confidence and with um, yeah, just like self confidence and being able to just handle things so much better, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Just when you say
and if you
being
don't
yourself again, that just,
yeah, I lost myself, and then ironically I lost myself again in my first marriage
Mhm.
where that was a little bit of an abusive like a toxic I don't sorry I should not say abusive, a toxic relationship.
Yeah. You
My
probably
ex
didn't
was
resolve it yet, so your inner turmoil reflected in that relationship. You
yeah,
didn't learn to develop
exactly. It
boundaries
really
and everything.
affected a lot of my relationships, right? I didn't have serious relationships when I was younger, but then my first marriage and and then it's, yeah, just kind of go along with the emotions. Well, that's exactly what I did as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's breaking that pattern for yourself too. And so yeah, that's the gist behind. this course. I mean, I'm just most of it's from my own experience, and just I wish I had something like that when I was going through it. So hopefully it can help people.
Now, we are going to put all your links in the description of this video, but is there anything people need to know about you, where they can find you, or is there any last words you want to tell to them?
Yeah, just everything will be on the link, like you said. My direct link to my course should be there, and also my website, which has you just go on there and see a little bit more about me if you wish. And it also says there's a link there to my one-on-one coaching as well. And one thing I did not mention in my course now, I'm also offering for a limited time a 30-minute coaching session when you purchase the course, which can be done anytime. You just get on there and we'll book it together. So just a little added bonus I wanted to help people along if they had any questions, anything like that. But yeah, basically just my website, Coach Bill for you, the number four letter u.com. Just pop on there and get some more information.
Great. So as said, we will put all your links in the description under the video. And I just wanted to thank you for being so open with us. I know it's a terrible thing that you have had to go through as a small boy, and you really managed to be such a lovely, wonderful adult who's very considerate about others, about himself now too, because that's the difficulty. You're not just considerate for other people, you wanted to break the cycle for your own
Yeah.
children, but you really managed to also, in the process, through all your pain, help others. So thank you so much for doing that.
Well, thank you, Michelle. That is extremely kind of you. And I really appreciate the opportunity. And I am looking forward to learning even more about the Bach flowers and how that can help my clients as well. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. See you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.